I woke up that morning with a smile already pulling at my face. "Happy anniversary, Aaron," I whispered to myself as I rolled out of bed. I kept waiting for Lena to call out from the kitchen like she used to, but the house stayed quiet. I tried not to feel disappointed. People get busy, I told myself. She probably rushed to work. At breakfast, I kept checking my phone. Nothing. I even sent her a simple morning. Hope work isn't too stressful. No reply. I stared at the screen for so long that Jason's voice echoed in my head. Stop overthinking everything. I really did. By noon, the silence felt heavier. I called her once. It rang. It rang again. Then it went to voicemail. I left a message saying, "Hey, just wanted to hear your voice. Call me when you can." I tried to sound normal, but I heard the small shake in my own tone. Around 3, I finally let myself plan out the dinner reservation I made. "She's going to love this," I said aloud as if I needed to convince the empty room. I booked her favorite restaurant, the one she said made her feel seen. I smiled, thinking about how she might react when she walked in and saw candlelight waiting for her. But when I opened social media to distract myself, my fingers froze. A photo sat right at the top of the feed, Lena, smiling so brightly it almost hurt my eyes. Her head leaned toward Ethan, that tall coworker I'd met once at her office party. He held a cake with some sparkler candles. The caption read, "Best birthday surprise ever." I whispered, "Birthday? Today?" My chest tightened so fast, I had to sit down. She remembered his birthday, but she forgot our anniversary. I tried to breathe, but jealousy and confusion knotted together inside me. I tapped the picture, staring at her expression. She hadn't smiled like that with me in months. "What the hell, Lena?" I muttered. My fingers hovered over the call button again, but I didn't press it. I didn't want to sound desperate. Instead, I muttered, "Maybe it's just a group thing." But the picture didn't look like a group thing. Someone else took it, but no one else was in sight. Just them. Too close. Too comfortable. I paced the living room. Should I call Jason? I asked myself. I grabbed my phone and dialed him anyway. He picked up with his usual, "What's wrong now?" "It's nothing," I said at first, but he groaned. "You only start like that when it's something—" I let out a breath. "She hasn't texted me all day, and she's out celebrating some guy's birthday." "Some guy?" "Ethan, from her office." Pause. "The tall one, with the stupid haircut?" "That's the one." Jason didn't joke after that. "Did she say anything about plans?" "Nothing. Not one word." I ate. "Look, maybe she forgot. People forget dates." "Not this date," I whispered. "Not us." He tried comforting me, but my mind kept drifting back to that photo. After the call, I sat on the couch, staring at nothing. My heart beat too fast, like it was warning me of something I didn't want to accept. At 6, I finally texted her, "What time will you be home?" She replied 30 minutes later, "Late. Don't wait up." That was it. No emoji, no explanation. No love you, just cold distance dressed as a message. I whispered, "Okay, got it." I canceled the reservation. The host asked, "Would you like to reschedule?" I almost laughed. "No," I said. "Not anymore." When the sun dipped below the windows, I sat on the edge of the bed we shared and rubbed my forehead. "Why does this hurt so much?" I asked the room. I didn't want to cry, but the pain sat deep in my chest, pushing at every breath. The picture replayed in my mind like some cruel loop. Her smile. His hand near hers. The sparkler lighting her face in a way I hadn't seen in so long. "I thought today mattered," I whispered. I checked her profile again, hoping it was just one photo, but there were comments now. "You two look cute." One read. Another said, "You always make his day special." I shut my phone. Hard. It hit me then. She didn't forget the date. She forgot me. I lay back on the bed and stared at the ceiling, trying to hold myself together. "Maybe I'm the problem," I whispered. But even saying it felt wrong. Deep down, I knew something had changed in her. Long before today. I just never wanted to believe it. Maybe tomorrow. I kept telling myself to calm down, but my chest felt tight the whole morning. I kept whispering, she's busy, that's all, even though the words tasted like lies. After everything from yesterday, I needed some sign that I still mattered to her. Instead, I got nothing but silence. By noon, I opened our shared phone bill, looking for anything that might make me feel stupid for doubting her. Instead, I saw Ethan's number. Once, twice, 10 times. My hands shook. Why the hell is she calling him this much? I whispered. I felt sick, like the room tilted under me. I called Jason right away. Hey, I said, trying to sound normal. What's going on now? He asked. I checked the phone bill and he pushed calls. So many calls. All to Ethan. Jason went quiet. Too quiet. Maybe it's work, he finally said, but even he didn't believe it. Work doesn't call someone at midnight, I shot back. Okay, he sighed. Don't jump into a fight. You're angry. She'll get defensive. You need to think. I can't think, I whispered. I just want the truth, then ask her, calmly. Calmly, I repeated, even though I knew I couldn't. After hanging up, I sent her a message. What time will you be home? My fingers hovered over the screen, hoping she would say something warm, something that sounded like the woman I married. Her reply came 5 minutes later. Late. Busy. Oh, that was it. Not even a name. Not even a period of effort. I typed, "Are you okay?" But I deleted it. She wouldn't answer. When she finally came home around 8, the door opened so softly it felt wrong. I walked into the hallway and froze. She smelled like cologne. Not mine. Hey, I said. She didn't look at me. Hey, how was your day? Normal, she replied too fast. To clean? Just work. I stared at her. Work. She sighed and dropped her bag. Yes, work. What's with the questions? I almost said the cologne isn't mine, but Jason's voice warned me in my head. Don't confront her in anger. So I swallowed everything. I just wanted to talk, I said. Well, I'm tired, she snapped. Can we not do this tonight? Do what? I bossed. This, she said, waving her hand like my feelings were some kind of mess she needed to clean up. I stepped back. I didn't know asking about your day was a problem. She rolled her eyes. Aaron, I said, I'm tired. I wanted to scream. I wanted to hold her. I didn't know which desire hurt more. Okay, I whispered. Fine. She walked past me into the bedroom without another word. I followed slowly. I didn't want to be near her, but I couldn't stand being away from her either. I felt trapped in my own home. In the bedroom, she sat on the bed scrolling on her phone. I sat at the edge, staring at the floor. The silence felt heavier than any argument we could have had. Are you going to say something? She asked without looking up. I tried, I said. She finally looked at me, annoyed. Then what do you want from me? I want you, I said. I want us, she blinked, like the words confused her. Aaron, you're being dramatic. My chest tightened. No, I'm being honest. She didn't respond. She just turned off her phone and lay down, facing away from me. I whispered goodnight. She didn't say it back. Minutes felt like hours. I stared at the ceiling, listening to her breathing. I wondered if she ever listened to mine anymore. I wondered if she even cared enough to try. Jason texted me then. You okay? I typed back, no. He replied, don't do anything stupid. Just breathe. I tried. I really tried. But breathing felt like lifting something heavy that refused to move. I whispered into the darkness, please don't let this be real. But every part of me knew it was. I lay there beside her, inches away, but miles apart. And for the first time since we married, I felt truly alone. I felt the distance swallow me whole. I woke up with a tight feeling in my chest, the kind that tells you something is already wrong before the day even starts. I kept hearing Lena's voice from last night, sharp and distant, echoing in my head. I told myself I needed answers. I told myself I wasn't crazy. But the truth was, I couldn't breathe unless I knew what she was hiding from me. After work, I parked across from her office and waited. I hated myself for it, hated the way my hands shook on the steering wheel. Just talk to her, I whispered. But talking didn't work anymore. She didn't let it. When she walked out, she didn't look around for me. She didn't smile. She just hurried down the street like she was late for something important. I followed her car at a distance, my heart pounding so loud I could feel it in my ears. She stopped at a small cafe on 5th Street, one we used to visit together. I whispered, "Why here?" as she walked inside. A few minutes later, Ethan appeared. He walked straight to her like he belonged there, like he belonged with her. I sank lower in my seat. "Please don't," I whispered, even though I knew they couldn't hear me. They sat near the window. Too close. Too familiar. I watched Ethan lean toward her. She smiled, soft, warm, like the smile I'd been begging to see for months. He said something that made her laugh, and the sound carried through the glass in my imagination, cutting into me deeper than anything she said last night. I tried to look away, but I couldn't. My eyes were glued to her. To them, at one point, Ethan reached across the table and touched her hand. She didn't pull back. She didn't even hesitate. She looked at him like she used to look at me. Something inside me cracked. I whispered, "That's it. That's the truth." Saying it out loud made my throat tighten. My vision blurred. I wiped my eyes fast because crying in my car outside a cafe felt pathetic, but everything in me hurt. When Ethan stood to pay the bill, she watched him with this soft expression that twisted into my chest like a knife. I couldn't sit there anymore. I started my car and drove away before I broke down completely. The whole ride home felt unreal, like the world had gone quiet. I kept whispering, "It's really happening," but it didn't help. I felt like a ghost moving through a house that didn't belong to me anymore. When I parked, I sat there for a moment before stepping out. Grace, my neighbor, was watering her plants. She looked up and frowned. "Aaron, you okay?" I forced a smile. "Yeah. Long day." She tilted her head. "You sure? You look pale." "I'm fine," I lied, my voice tight. Grace stepped closer. "If you ever need to talk, I'm good." I cut in a little too fast. She paused and nodded. "All right? Just know I'm around." "Thanks," I said, but the word felt empty. I walked to my door slowly, like my body weighed twice as much as usual. Inside, the house was quiet, cold. It felt like the truth had followed me in and settled on every surface. I dropped my keys and whispered, "She chose him." It hurt to admit it. It hurt more to know it was real. I sat on the couch and buried my face in my hands. I didn't call Jason. I didn't want to hear him say he was sorry. I didn't want comfort. I wanted my wife back. I wanted the life I thought we still had. But I had seen the truth with my own eyes, and no matter how many lies I told others, I couldn't lie to myself anymore. I sat there until the room faded around me, until the clock lost meaning and my thoughts circled the same broken truth. I whispered questions into the empty air, hoping silence would answer them. But silence only reminded me that I was alone now, holding the remains of something I couldn't fix. Lost, hurting, and exhausted. I waited in the living room, trying to breathe normally. When Lena walked in, I forced a smile onto my face. She didn't look at me, just tossed her keys on the table. I said, "Can we talk for a minute?" She groaned like my voice annoyed her more than anything else. "What now, Aaron?" She snapped. "I just want to understand why things feel so strange lately." She crossed her arms and stared at the wall instead of me. "You make everything heavy," she said, her voice cold. "I make things heavy because I care," I said quietly. She rolled her eyes and walked toward the door like I wasn't there. "Where are you going?" I asked, my chest tightening. "Out," she said, grabbing her jacket without looking at me. "With who?" I whispered, even though I already feared the answer. "Stop acting like you own me," she snapped before slamming the door. The house fell quiet, like it was holding its breath with me. I stared at the doorknob, hoping she might come back inside. But she didn't. My phone buzzed suddenly, and I grabbed it with shaking hands. The message came from an unknown number. It was a picture of Lena kissing Ethan behind his car. My breath stopped as I stared at the screen. No, this can't be real," I whispered to myself. but it was real. Her hands were on his face like they belonged there. My whole body went numb, like someone had unplugged my soul. The phone slipped from my hand and hit the floor hard. I sank into the couch, trying to breathe, trying to think. Why, Lena? I whispered into the empty room. My chest felt like it was caving in. The door opened an hour later, but I didn't move. She walked in like nothing had happened. "You're still awake?" she asked, sounding almost annoyed. I looked at her, but I couldn't form words yet. She shrugged and kicked off her shoes like it was any night. "Lena, where were you tonight?" I managed to ask. She didn't look up. "Out with friends." "Which friends?" I asked, my voice breaking a little. "Why do you always need details?" She snapped. "Because I'm your husband," I said softly. She rolled her eyes again, like the word husband bothered her. I stood from the couch because I couldn't stay silent anymore. "Do you still love me?" I asked, my voice shaking badly. She froze for 1 second, then sighed like I'd asked something stupid. "I don't want to do this," she muttered. "Do what?" I whispered. "Have emotional talks every night like you need saving?" Her words cut deeper than she realized. I sat back down, feeling like my legs might give out. "Lena, I saw something tonight," I said quietly. She paused. "What did you see?" I lifted my phone but didn't show her the picture yet. "Were you with Ethan?" I finally asked. Her jaw tensed, but she pretended not to notice. "Why would you even ask that?" she said sharply. I swallowed hard, unable to lie anymore. "Because someone sent me a picture," I whispered. She froze again, but this time I saw fear in her eyes. I didn't show her the photo. I just watched her reaction. "Aaron, you're imagining things," she said, forcing a laugh. "I'm not imagining anything," I replied, my voice low. She walked past me toward the bedroom like the conversation bored her. "We're done talking," she said, disappearing into the room. I stayed in the living room trembling as the silence grew heavier. My phone buzzed again, but this time I didn't answer it. I already knew it was the same unknown number. Instead, I buried my face in my hands and tried to breathe. The room felt smaller with every second that passed. When Lena finally came out again, she didn't look at me. "You're going to make a big deal out of nothing," she muttered. "It's not nothing," I said, my voice barely steady. She grabbed her blanket and moved to the couch without explanation. "I need space from your drama," she said coldly. I watched her lie down like she hadn't just destroyed me tonight. I whispered, "You don't even see what you're doing to me anymore." She didn't respond, just pulled the blanket over her shoulder silently. I stared at the ceiling, wondering when love had turned into this emptiness. My throat ached, but I kept my cries quiet so she wouldn't hear. I didn't want her to think I was begging for her sympathy. But every tear felt like a reminder that something inside me was dying. I wished she would just admit the truth instead of hiding behind anger. Her silence left me alone with my breaking heart. "You said." I was sitting alone in the dim light of my living room when my phone buzzed again. I almost ignored it, but something in me said to look. The same unknown number appeared on the screen. "Leave me alone," I muttered, but I opened the message anyway. "My name is Maya," it said. "I need to talk to you." Stared at the name. I typed, "Who are you?" Seconds later she replied, "Ethan's ex." My stomach twisted. I typed, "Why are you messaging me?" She answered, "Because I know what he's doing to you." "He did it to me too." I felt my pulse race. "What do you mean?" I wrote, "She called me instead." I hesitated, then answered. Her voice shook like she was holding herself together by threads. "I'm sorry," she said. "I know this is weird, but I've been watching them for weeks." Swallowed hard. "Why?" she sighed. "Because I wanted to prove I wasn't crazy. And because I wanted to warn you," I whispered. "Warn me about what?" She said, "Ethan doesn't love your wife. He loves the thrill. He did the same to me. He chased me, won me, used me, and threw me away when he found someone new." Closed my eyes. "So you followed them?" She said yes. "I knew he was cheating again, but seeing your wife with him, it hurt me for reasons I can't explain." I rubbed my forehead. "You sent me that picture," she said softly. "I didn't want to, but you deserve to know." I leaned back, feeling the weight of everything hit me at once. How long has this been happening? She paused. A while. Long enough that he thinks she belongs to him now. I laughed bitterly. She's my wife. To him that doesn't matter, Maya replied. He only cares about the chase. I asked, why help me? You don't even know me, she sighed again. Because I know the pain of loving someone who destroys you slowly. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. I stayed silent, listening to her breathe on the other end. I'm sorry, she said again, softer now. You didn't deserve this? I whispered. Did you? She let out a broken laugh. No, but I let him in anyway. I felt something sharp twist in my chest. So what do I do? She said, that depends. Do you still think she'll come back to you? I didn't answer. My silence was answer enough. Aaron, she continued gently, she's falling for him, and he's pulling her in fast. You need to protect yourself. I whispered, how? She said, by seeing them clearly. By letting go of who you think she is. I clenched my jaw. I don't know if I can. You can, she said, but only when you realize you're not the one who broke this. Her words sank deep, hitting places I'd been avoiding. He ruins people, she said. Every woman he touches ends up blaming herself. I whispered, Lena doesn't blame herself. She blames me, Maya replied, because he made her feel new, exciting, alive. That feeling won't last. It never does with him, I asked. Does she know about you? Maya laughed bitterly. He pretends I never existed. I rubbed my face. So I'm just the next fool? No, she said. You're the one he miscalculated. You're stronger than he thinks. I shook my head. I don't feel strong, she said. Strength isn't about feeling okay. It's about surviving what should have destroyed you. Her voice cracked slightly, and I knew she was speaking from a place of deep wounds. I don't want to be a victim anymore, I whispered. Maya replied. Then stop acting like one. Her bluntness stunned me, but it lit something inside my chest, small, dark, and growing. What do you want from me? I asked quietly. She said nothing. I just want you to stop letting them walk over you, I exhaled shakily. I don't know who I'm becoming, Maya answered. Someone who finally wakes up. I didn't know what to say. Call me if you need anything, she said before hanging up. I stared at the phone in my hand, feeling something shift inside me. The pain was still there, heavy and sharp, but under it, something new was forming. Something harder. Something colder. Maybe this was the part of me I'd kept buried. The part that refused to break again. I woke up the next morning with a strange calm settling over me. It wasn't peace. It was something colder. Something sharper. I whispered to myself, no more begging. When Lena walked past me in the kitchen, she said, You're quiet today, I answered. Just tired. She nodded like she believed me, but I saw the way her eyes watched me. I kept my voice low. Do you need anything? She said, No, I'm fine. I forced a smile and added, I'll be home late. She raised a brow. Since when? I shrugged. Things change. She didn't like that answer, and I saw confusion flicker across her face. I left before she could question me again. In my car I whispered, This ends now. I drove to the bank first. The moment I saw the numbers, my stomach dropped. Money was missing, money we saved together. I asked the teller, Can you show me recent transfers? When she printed the paper, I felt heat rush through my chest. Lena had moved funds into a separate account under her name. I whispered, So that's how it is. The teller asked, Is everything okay? I forced a calm nod. Yes. Thank you. Outside, I sat in my car and gripped the steering wheel. She planned this, I muttered. She was ready to leave me long before Ethan. The thought hit hard, but instead of breaking me, it stiffened something inside. I texted Jason, I need a lawyer. He replied instantly, You sure? I wrote, I'm done suffering. He sent me a number. Dalton Pierce. I called immediately. A steady voice answered, Dalton Pierce speaking. I said, My name is Aaron. I need help. Come in. Now was good. When I arrived, he studied me for a second before saying, You look like a man who's been pushed too far. I sat down and whispered, "My wife is cheating on me, and she's moving money." His expression didn't change. "Show me." I handed him the documents. He scanned them quickly and said, "She's preparing her exit." "But you're lucky you caught this now." I asked, "What do I do?" He leaned back. "First, stop reacting emotionally. She expects you to be weak. Use that." I swallowed. "I can try." "You'll need copies of everything. Bank statements, insurance, house documents. If she's planning to leave, she may try to take more than she deserves." I whispered, "She already took my heart." He gave me a sympathetic look, but stayed professional. "Don't let her take your future too," I asked. "Should I confront her?" He shook his head. "Absolutely not. You pretend you know nothing. The more she thinks she's in control, the better advantage you gain." I felt a strange thrill at that idea. "So I play dumb?" He smiled slightly. "You play the version of you she thinks she can manipulate." I nodded slowly. "I can do that," said. "Good. Come back tomorrow with every document you can find." When I left his office, the cold air felt sharper than before. I whispered, "I'm not the same man anymore." I drove home with calm steps and steady breathing. When I walked in, Lena appeared from the living room wearing a bright smile. "You're home early," she said sweetly, too sweetly. I asked, "Miss me?" She laughed lightly. Maybe I studied her face and asked, "What's going on?" She shrugged. "Can't I be nice?" I replied, "You can. It's just unusual." She walked closer and touched my arm. "We haven't been us lately. Maybe we should try harder." Hearing her pretend nothing was wrong almost made me laugh. I said, "Sure, we can try." She brightened. "Good," I added. "What do you want for dinner?" She smiled again. "Anything you want?" I nodded and asked, "Are you going out tonight?" She said quickly, "No, I just want to stay home with you." Inside, I felt a bitter twist. She was hiding something. She wanted something. But I kept my voice soft. "I'm glad," she asked. "Are you mad at me for something?" I shook my head. "No, I'm just tired." She placed her hand on my shoulder. "Then rest. I'll make dinner." I watched her walk away, and for the first time I didn't feel desperate for her attention. I felt distance, cold and freeing. Later she asked, "Do you still love me?" I forced a tired smile. "Of course." He watched me carefully, trying to read me, but I didn't let anything show. Inside, though, a storm was gathering. I whispered silently, "I'm not your fool anymore." She leaned on my shoulder during dinner. "I want us to be close again," she said softly. I answered, "We will be." She looked relieved. I kept playing along. When she went to shower, I slipped into the office and copied every document I could find, just like Dalton instructed. I whispered, "This is the last time I save what's left of us." By the time she came out, I was back on the couch, calm and quiet. She asked, "Are you okay?" I nodded. "Yeah." She curled beside me like she used to. I let her. But inside, I wasn't the same man. Something had shifted. Something powerful. Something final. I woke up with a strange calm spreading through my chest, the kind that came only after weeks of drowning. I didn't speak to Lena that morning, and the silence felt cleaner than anything we'd shared lately. When she finally looked at me, her brows pulled tight. "Are you not going to say good morning?" she asked. I shrugged. "Didn't think you wanted one?" She blinked, confused. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing," I said, sipping my coffee. "Just living." The words bothered her. I could see it. She hovered near the counter. "You're acting weird, am I?" I asked. I hadn't noticed. She folded her arms. "Are you mad at me for something?" "Lena," I said, "I've spent months being mad. I'm tired." She opened her mouth to argue, then closed it. For the first time in a long time, she didn't know what to say. I grabbed my keys. "I'll be home later." "Where are you going?" she demanded. I smiled at the door. "Does it matter?" Her voice sharpened. "Since when do you not tell me where you're going?" "Since it stopped being required." I left before she could respond. Outside, the air hit me like freedom. My phone buzzed. It was a message from Maya. Ethan's losing interest. Fast. I typed back. Figures. She replied instantly. Want proof? She sent screenshots. Ethan, flirting with another woman, his tone already shifting, his charm already redirecting. I stared at the messages. Lena's going to crash hard, I wrote. Good, Maya replied. She should know what it feels like. I didn't disagree. Later that afternoon, Lena called me 3 times. I ignored all of them. When I finally answered, her voice was frantic. Where are you? Out. Out where? Just out. Are you with someone? She blurted. I almost laughed. Funny you'd ask that, Aaron. I'm serious. So am I. She exhaled shakily. You're scaring me. I've been scared for months, I said. You didn't care then? She went quiet. Can you just come home? I'll come home when I'm ready, she whispered. Please. I hung up. The power shift wasn't loud. It wasn't cruel. It was quiet, steady, deliberate, like reclaiming oxygen after nearly suffocating. I drove around until the sun dipped low, then headed home. When I walked in, Lena was pacing the living room. You can't just disappear like that. She snapped. I didn't disappear, I said. I lived my day with who? Myself. She flinched like I'd slapped her. Why are you talking like this? Because I'm done begging, I said. Done trying. Done explaining. Are you cheating? She demanded again. I laughed softly. No, Lena. But it's interesting how fast your mind goes there. She ran a hand through her hair. You've changed. Yes, I said. I have. Is it because of me? She whispered. Everything is because of you, I said. She stepped closer. We can fix this, can we? I asked. Did you think about fixing anything when you were with him? Her lips parted. Don't lie, I cut in. I'm done listening to lies. Her breathing grew uneven. Aaron, something's wrong with Ethan. I raised a brow. Is that so? He's not answering me, she said, voice cracking. He's being distant. I don't understand.
I nodded.
Feels awful, doesn't it? Being ignored by someone you care about. Are you mocking me? She asked. No, I said. Just observing. She sank onto the couch. I feel like I'm losing everything. You might be, I said honestly. Why are you being so cold? Because warmth got me nowhere. She wiped her eyes. I didn't think you'd stop caring. I didn't stop, I said. I just stopped showing it. She whispered, I don't know what to do. Figure it out, I told her. The way I had to. She stared at me for a long moment. Did I really hurt you that much? Yes, tears spilled down her cheeks. I'm sorry, for a second. The old version of Mitha, desperate one, wanted to reach for her. But then I remembered the nights I cried alone, the lies, the distance, the betrayal. Sorry doesn't fix anything, I said gently. Not this time. She covered her face. I feel completely alone. You're not alone, I said. You're just finally feeling what I felt. I headed to the bedroom. I'm going to sleep. Can we talk? Not tonight, Aaron. Please. Good night, Lena. I closed the door softly. My heart didn't race. My chest didn't ache. I didn't feel broken. I felt steady. As I lay in the dark, my phone buzzed again. Maya, she's unraveling, isn't she? I typed yes. Good, Maya wrote. Maybe now you can rebuild. I stared at the ceiling. Maybe, I replied. And for the first time in months, I believed it. Tonight, I woke up before Lena, but I didn't move. I listened to the quiet in the room, the kind that used to feel warm but now felt like a wall between us. When she finally stirred, she turned toward me. Can we talk? She whispered. I stared at the ceiling. About what? About us, she said. About everything. I sat up and kept my voice steady. You want to fix things now? She swallowed. Yes, you're distant. You barely look at me. Interesting, I said. You never cared about that before. She pulled the blanket close. Do you still love me? I didn't answer. I walked to the dresser and picked up my phone. She watched me nervously. Aaron, please say something. You want words? I said. But you ignored mine for months. That's not true. It is, I said. She leaned forward. Tell me what you're thinking. I opened my photos and held the phone out. Look, her eyes widened at the picture of her kissing Ethan behind his car. I can explain. I'm sure you can, I said. But I'm not interested in excuses. It wasn't what you think, she whispered. I laughed softly. Then what was it? A friendly kiss. She shook her head. I wasn't trying to hurt you, but you did, I said. She tried to grab my hand, but I stepped back. Don't. Tears filled her eyes. Just listen. I listened for months, I said. You just weren't talking to me. I opened the saved messages. And these? Late night calls. Hours of talking when you said you were busy. She covered her mouth. Stop. No, I said. You didn't stop lying to me. She slid off the bed and fell to her knees. Please, let me explain. I stared at her, feeling nothing. Get up, I said. You chose this. Not him. She cried harder. I didn't think you'd ever know. It's clear, I said. You were fine as long as I stayed blind. Do you hate me? No, I said. I just don't trust you. And I don't feel the same. She crawled closer. I can change. I can fix everything. Not with me, I said. She reached for my leg. I was lonely. You worked late. You didn't notice me. Noticed everything, I said. You didn't want me. You wanted him. She froze when I spoke again. You forgot our anniversary but celebrated his birthday. That was the moment something in me broke. She sobbed harder. I stood and grabbed my jacket. She gasped. Where are you going? Out, I said. To breathe? Please don't leave, she begged. We can talk. I stepped outside. I need air, I said. Real air. And for the first time in years, I felt my lungs open. Lena followed me to the doorway, her voice shaking. We can go to counseling. We can start over. I turned slightly. You want counseling now that your lies are exposed? She wiped her cheeks. I didn't know what else to do. I was scared you didn't want me anymore, so you chose someone else. I asked. She flinched. It wasn't choosing. It just happened. Things don't just happen, I said. People choose where they put their time, their energy, their affection. She leaned against the wall. Was I really that awful to you? Yes, I said simply. You made me feel invisible. She shook her head. I didn't mean to. Intent doesn't erase what you did. Her breathing turned uneven. If you walk out that door, I'll think you've given up. Maybe I have, I said. She stepped closer, desperation rising. Tell me how to fix this. Tell me what you want. Right. I want honesty, I said. But we're far past that, she whispered. I'm terrified. I know, I said. It's what I lived with every day without you noticing. She covered her face, sinking to the floor again. I can't lose you. You already did, I said, and the truth of it rang quietly between us. I walked down the steps, feeling the cool evening settle around me. My chest felt lighter than it had in months. Behind me, I heard her call my name one last time, but I didn't turn. For once, the world felt open instead of closing in. I stood in the doorway when the envelope arrived, heavy in my hand, like a final sentence I'd been waiting for. It's here, I said out loud to myself, though the house was empty. Divorce papers. My name, her name, printed in cold ink. I whispered, so this is how it ends. When Lena came home, she dropped her bag and froze when she saw the envelope. What? What is that? She asked. You know what it is? I said. She shook her head, stepping closer. No. Aaron, no. Please tell me this isn't. It's the next step, I said. The one you created the moment you chose him. She grabbed the envelope and ripped it open with trembling hands. You can't do this. We can fix us. He tried, I said. Or at least I did. She stared at the papers, her voice cracking. You don't love me anymore? I loved you when you didn't love me back, I said. Now I'm just tired. She sank onto the couch. He's not answering me. Ethan won't talk to me. He just disappeared. I nodded. That's what he does. Ask Maya. She looked up sharply. Maya, you've talked to her? Yes, I said. She warned me. She told me exactly who he is. Lena buried her face in her hands. I lost everything. You lost what you chose to lose, I said. I'm just moving on. She reached out. Aaron, please. We can start over. Starting over, I said. Just not with you. When she began to cry harder, I felt an odd emptiness. Not satisfaction. Not anger. Just release. The next day, Jason showed up, knocking on my door with a box under his arm. Ready to go? He asked. As ready as I'll ever be, I said. He looked around the house. You sure about this? Yeah, I said. It's time. Grace saw us loading the boxes and walked over from her porch. Moving day? She asked gently. Yeah, I said. Finally. She touched my arm. I'm proud of you. You've been carrying too much alone. Jason grinned at her. He's stubborn. You know that, I smirked. I hear that a lot. Grace leaned closer. You deserve peace, Aaron. I'm working on it, I said. As we lifted the last box into Jason's truck, my phone buzzed. A message from Maya. You deserved better. Don't forget that. I stared at the words for a long moment. Jason nudged me. Everything okay? Yeah, I said. Actually, yeah. He closed the truck door. Let's get out of here before you change your mind. I won't, I said. Grace waved. Good luck, Aaron. Thank you, I said. For everything. As we pulled away, I looked back at the house one last time. The windows I once stared out of in hope. The living room where I waited for someone who didn't choose me. The kitchen where silence grew louder than words. I whispered, goodbye. Jason glanced at me. You're quiet. I'm thinking, I said. About her? He asked. About me, I said. For once. He nodded. That's the right direction. The city stretched ahead of us, open and wide. I felt something inside me lighten, like a weight sliding off my chest. I breathed out slowly. I'm done being the guy who waits to be loved. Jason raised an eyebrow. Look at you sounding wise. I laughed softly. Don't get used to it. We reached my new apartment. Small, quiet, mine. Inside, I set the first box down and exhaled. Feels strange, I said. Strange good or strange bad? Jason asked. Strange free, I said. He clapped my shoulder. Then it's a win. When he left, I stood alone in the center of the room. The silence felt different, gentler, like it belonged to me. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Maya. Heal, then rise. I typed back, I will. I sat on the floor, leaning against the wall, watching the sunlight stretch across the empty room. For the first time, I didn't feel abandoned. I felt stronger. I didn't just survive the betrayal. I outgrew it. I stepped forward into my new life, steady, certain, breathing without fear again. Today, you said,